The Bermuda Triangle. Between myth and reality, for centuries the ocean has swallowed secrets. Among them, one patch of water has become a legend. The Bermuda Triangle, ships vanished, planes disappeared, radio calls cut off mid-sentence. Tonight we will travel into that triangle of stories and separate what is real from what is sensational. This is not a ghost story. It is a search for truth. Scene 1. The map of mystery. The Bermuda Triangle is a loosely defined area in the western North Atlantic, roughly bounded by Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. For decades, sailors, pilots, and headline writers have pointed at that triangle as if it were a place. Apart from the rest of the ocean, a place where the rules change. But before we surrender to mystery, we must ask, do disappearances there exceed the expected number for such a busy piece of ocean? The answer from ocean and maritime authorities: not really. The region sees huge traffic, violent weather, and complex currents that explain many losses. Scene 2. First voices, logbooks, and legends. Historical notes feed the myth. Christopher Columbus recorded strange lights and compass oddities when he crossed the Caribbean. Later, countless tales and newspaper articles stitched those notes together into a narrative of supernatural menace. Over time, a handful of dramatic incidents, Flight 19, the USS Cyclops, and others became the anchor points of the legend, retold and amplified until the triangle itself seemed alive. Scene 3. The cases that built the myth. Some stories are impossible to ignore. In December 1945, 5 U.S. Navy TBM Avenger training planes known as Flight 19 took off from Fort Lauderdale and never returned. Radio transmissions describe navigational confusion, then silence. The Navy launched an extensive search that itself suffered losses, and the mystery lodged in public imagination at history.navy.mil. Other losses. Like the disappearance of the collier USS Cyclops in 1918 with hundreds aboard, added to the sense that something anomalous was at work. When you line up these dramatic events without context, the pattern looks frightening, but context changes the picture. Scene 4. The ocean is not friendly. Currents, weather, and probability. The western North Atlantic is dominated by the mighty Gulf Stream, a fast, powerful current that can move wreckage far from the scene and transform weather conditions in minutes. Hurricanes and sudden storms are common. A ship or small plane caught in such forces can be overwhelmed quickly, often without leaving obvious traces. Combine that with the fact that this corridor is one of the busiest in the world. Heavy traffic raises the chance of accidents. In short, nature plus traffic plus human error equals many of the losses attributed to mystery. Scene 5. The leading scientific hypotheses and their limits. 1. Weather and rogue waves. Scientists point to violent weather systems and rare but enormous rogue waves that can reach tens of meters high and appear without long warnings. Such waves can snap hulls or overwhelm aircraft at low altitude. Recent research and modeling suggests that, under the right storm interactions, ships could be broken so quickly that little debris remains. This is a plausible explanation for certain high-profile vanishings. Popular mechanics too, methane gas releases. Another proposed mechanism is the sudden release of methane gas from seafloor deposits. The so-called methane hydrate theory. If a very large bubble of gas rises and expands, it can reduce water density locally. A vessel floating above could lose buoyancy and founder laboratory work and field observations elsewhere, for example in Arctic shelf collapses. Show methane can dramatically reshape the seabed, but direct evidence tying methane bursts to specific Bermuda Triangle losses remains scant. The idea is intriguing, scientifically grounded in geophysics, but not yet proven as a widespread cause in this region. 3. Magnetic and instrument anomalies. Stories claim compasses fail mysteriously in the triangle, or that the area points to true north rather than magnetic north. In practice, compass variations exist everywhere, and seasoned navigators correct for them. No reliable scientific evidence shows an anomalous, localized magnetic field in the triangle that would systematically cause mass disappearances. Many of the compass stories stem from misunderstandings or poor navigation rather than a supernatural magnetic force. 4. Human error and mechanical failure. Human mistake. Navigational errors. Poor maintenance. Misreading weather remains the simplest, most robust causal explanation for many incidents. Historically, investigators have repeatedly found that when records are examined closely, simple physical causes, storms, running aground, engine failure, explain a large fraction of losses attributed to mystery. Scene 6. The role of media and the insurance. Angle, sensational journalism and fiction amplified a handful of dramatic cases into a global legend. Insurance data and maritime records suggest no unusual spike in losses specifically linked to the triangle. Major insurers and maritime agencies do not charge special premiums for transiting this area. In other words, while tragedies happened and still can, the accumulation of dramatic storytelling made an ordinary set of risks into an extraordinary myth. Scene 7. Why some incidents remain unresolved, a few losses remain inexplicable because of missing data. No wreckage found. No recovered flight recorders or incomplete logs. Ocean search and recovery is a difficult, expensive science. Currents, scavengers consume wreckage, and seafloors can be deep and complex. In many historical cases, the absence of evidence is not evidence of the supernatural. It is often evidence of the ocean's power to erase. Scene 8. A balanced verdict. When you step back, 3 truths emerge. 1. The Bermuda Triangle hosts natural hazards. Strong currents, violent weather, navigational complexity, to spectacular cases like Flight 19 and USS Cyclops are real tragedies, but not proof of supernatural forces. Batch 3. Scientific hypotheses, rogue waves, methane releases, combined meteorological extremes can explain many incidents, though not every story is fully solved. The sensible conclusion is that most mystery vanishes under careful scrutiny, and what remains unsolved is usually unsolved because the ocean took the evidence with it. Scene 9. What modern technology changes GPS satellite weather forecasting, real-time tracking, and improved search and rescue greatly reduce the chance of unexplained vanishing today? Many routes once considered hazardous are now routinely traversed with far lower risk, yet the ocean keeps its moods. Human judgment and respect for weather and seamanship remain the decisive safety factors. Closing. The Bermuda Triangle survives in stories because humans are story makers. We prefer mystery that stirs the imagination to the slow and careful work of investigation. Respect the drama, but prize the data. When we do, the triangle becomes less an abyss of the inexplicable and more a mirror, a place where nature, chance, and human fallibility meet. The real wonder is that we keep learning to read that mirror with better tools, better science, and a better sense of what we don't yet know. If you like the content, don't forget to support us by subscribing to the channel, liking it, and activating the bell button to receive all that is new.